Unlimited Output: How Abundance Thinking Multiplies Results, by David Russo. Most of us operate as if the world's resources, time, money, ideas, energy are finite. We ration our best work, hoard our thoughts, and wait for the perfect moment to act. It feels responsible. It feels safe. But beneath the surface, this instinct, what I call the scarcity reflex, is quietly shrinking your potential. It convinces you that your ideas are precious treasures, meant to be guarded, when in reality, the opposite is true. Your ideas, your time, your energy, these are seeds. They grow when you share them. They multiply when you use them. Imagine for a moment what life would be like if you no longer hesitated. If you treated ideas like water, not gold. If you created without fear of wasting effort, without waiting for inspiration to strike perfectly. When scarcity dissolves, something remarkable happens. Freedom, boldness, and speed appear almost instantly. Action replaces overthinking. Experimentation becomes the norm. And with each attempt, skill follows, not slowly, not theoretically, but rapidly, through repeated output. This book is about that shift. It's about moving from a mindset of limitation to one of unlimited possibility. It's about understanding that quantity drives quality, that more effort produces more skill, that consistent creation builds momentum the way compounding builds wealth. Every chapter will teach you not just to think differently, but to act differently, to treat time, energy, and ideas as abundant forces that grow the moment you release them. By the end of this journey, you'll see clearly, the people who achieve the most aren't the ones who save their ideas, their energy, or their talent for a perfect moment. They're the ones who give generously, act consistently, and release more than they hold back. Abundance isn't just a mindset. It's a strategy. It's the way to multiply your results, your skills, and your impact. It's time to stop rationing. It's time to start producing without limits. Chapter 1. Why we ration what we think is limited. Humans have an instinct that has kept us alive for millennia: scarcity reflex. It's the part of our brain that screams, save it. Don't give it all away. When resources are limited, this reflex is helpful. It keeps our ancestors from running out of food, water, or fuel. But today, this ancient instinct often works against us. We ration not just our money, our time, and our energy, but our ideas, our creativity, and even our own potential. Think about it. How often have you held back a bold thought because you were afraid it wasn't good enough? How often have you postponed starting a project because you wanted to save your best work for later? Scarcity doesn't just limit resources, it limits behavior. It convinces you that your ideas are fragile, that they are finite, when in reality, they are endlessly renewable. We see it in subtle ways: carefully portioning our work hours, hoarding our knowledge in meetings, waiting for the perfect moment to post, write, or share. We underestimate how much we had and overestimate how much we could lose. This rationing silently throttles creativity. It slows progress. It builds fear where confidence should live. The cost of this mindset is higher than you think. By holding back your best ideas, your boldest moves, or your consistent effort, you shrink your own potential. Every idea that sits idle is an opportunity lost. Every day spent saving your effort is a day you could have been building skill, momentum, and impact. Here's the truth: your creativity is not a limited resource. It grows the more you use it. Your energy expands the more you invest it. Your time is most valuable when it's spent actively, not hoarded. The moment you recognize this, you stop rationing. You stop waiting. You stop thinking in terms of limits. This chapter is your wake-up call. Scarcity is a habit, not a fact. And habits can change. The next time you catch yourself holding back, whether it's an idea, an effort, or a project, ask yourself, what happens if I give more? The answer will surprise you. Because when you release what you think is limited, you discover it was never limited at all. Scarcity doesn't just limit resources, it limits your life. And the first step to abundance is simple: stop saving. Start producing. Chapter 2. The moment abundance changes everything. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens when we realize limits aren't real. When scarcity disappears, everything changes: our mindset, our speed, and the way we act. Abundance doesn't just make life easier, it makes life bolder. Suddenly, The hesitation that held you back evaporates. Suddenly, risk feels smaller because the cost of being wrong is no longer paralyzing. Think about it. When you have plenty of ideas, of time, of energy, you stop rationing. You experiment. You try new approaches. You create without fear. You move fast because you know that failure isn't the end, it's just part of the process. Abundance gives you permission to act freely, to test, to refine, to push boundaries. This is why the most prolific creators never run dry. They understand a fundamental truth: ideas, skill, and opportunity multiply through use, not conservation. The more you give, the more comes back. Every attempt, every experiment, every bold move builds momentum, and momentum compounds like interest in a bank account. Notice the shift in your own thinking when you stop worrying about running out. Instead of asking, "What if I waste this?" you start asking, "What happens if I use more?" And that simple change in perspective alters everything. Creativity flows faster. Confidence grows. Fear shrinks. Abundance is contagious. It spreads to every part of your life once you let it in. The lesson is clear: scarcity is a mental habit, and abundance is a mindset you can practice. The more you act as if there is enough time, enough ideas, enough energy, the more real that abundance becomes. It's not just optimism, it's strategy. It's the force that turns hesitation into action, ideas into projects, and potential into results. If you want to achieve more, create more, and grow faster, start here. Stop rationing what you have. Start using it. Fully, boldly, consistently. The moment you embrace abundance, limits dissolve, and your results will follow. Chapter 3. Ideas multiply when you spend them. Most people treat ideas like gold bars: precious, rare, finite. They hoard them, polish them endlessly, and wait for the perfect moment to release them. But here's the truth: ideas are not gold bars. They're seeds. And seeds grow when you plant them, not when you bury them in a safe. The more you use your ideas, the more ideas you generate. The act of sharing, experimenting, and creating produces momentum. Creativity is not a faucet you turn on once, it's a muscle you build through action. Writers who publish daily, entrepreneurs who launch repeatedly, artists who create constantly, they never run out. They don't, because ideas are like compound interest. One idea sparks another, and each attempt multiplies the possibilities. This is why so many people wait for inspiration. They confuse conservation with wisdom. They think holding back makes their work safer, smarter, or more valuable. But the opposite is true. Hoarding your ideas starves your growth. Using them freely accelerates it. Every note, every sketch, every rough draft, every conversation is a small investment that grows exponentially. Imagine treating your mind like an orchard. If you protect the seeds too carefully, nothing grows. If you plant, water, and tend them consistently, the harvest surprises you. Ideas expand in the act of giving them life. Action breeds clarity, insight, and more creativity. So here's the challenge: stop fearing scarcity. Stop rationing your thoughts. Release your ideas into the world. Test them, share them, refine them. The more you spend, the more you'll have. Momentum compounds. Skill grows. Confidence rises. And the next time someone asks how you came up with so much, you'll smile and realize it was never magic. It was motion. Remember, ideas are not gold bars. They're seeds. Plant them. Water them. Watch them multiply. The world rewards those who give freely, not those who hoard carefully. Bonus Chapter 3. The Air Principle. There is something we all rely on every moment of our lives that we almost never think about: air. We don't see it, we don't store it, we don't compete for it. Yet we cannot live without it. Air is everywhere. It's abundant. It's shared by everyone. And its abundance does not make it worthless, it makes life possible. No one wakes up worried about wasting air. No one says, "I should save my breathing for later." No one hoards it out of fear it might run out. We trust its presence. We use it freely. And because of that, we live. Now imagine if air were treated the way people treat ideas. Imagine breathing cautiously, shallow, conservatively, afraid that using too much would leave you without enough later. It would be absurd. And yet that's exactly how most people treat their creativity. They ration their ideas, They hold back their best thoughts. They save their energy, their words, their output, waiting for the right moment. But ideas aren't like gold. They're not meant to be locked away. Ideas are closer to air. They're everywhere. They move through people. They multiply when they circulate. And just like air, their abundance doesn't make them less valuable, it makes them usable. Scarcity thinking tells us that value comes from rarity. But some of the most valuable things in existence are abundant. Air, time, when you're young, ideas, when you allow them to flow. The mistake isn't having too much. The mistake is believing that using something freely makes it cheap. In reality, the opposite is true. What you use regularly becomes stronger. What you circulate grows. What you trust enough to release keeps coming back. The moment you stop treating ideas as something to protect and start treating them as something to breathe, everything changes. You don't run out, you don't go dry, you don't lose value, you come alive. And from that place, output stops feeling risky and starts feeling natural. Chapter 4: Output creates skill faster than thinking. We often believe that planning, thinking, and waiting will make us ready. That if we prepare enough, study enough, and analyze enough, success will simply fall into our lap. But here's the uncomfortable truth: skill isn't built in theory. It's built in action. You learn by doing, not by thinking about doing. Every moment spent hesitating is a moment your skill isn't growing. Every idea you tuck away for later is a missed opportunity to refine, improve, and get feedback. Action produces clarity. It exposes what works, what doesn't, and what needs adjustment. It accelerates learning far faster than any plan or strategy ever could. Consider athletes, musicians, or creators. They don't become great by imagining themselves performing perfectly. They become great by showing up again and again, making mistakes, adjusting, and repeating. Output is practice, and practice compounds. Every small action is a step forward. Every imperfect attempt is progress disguised as imperfection. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Waiting for inspiration, waiting for confidence, or waiting for the perfect plan is just another form of scarcity, a fear that your effort might be wasted. But the more you create, the more your abilities expand. Doing is the shortcut to clarity. Output uncovers patterns in your work, sharpens intuition, and builds momentum you can't get by thinking alone. Here's the shift: don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect idea. Start producing. Start experimenting. Start failing forward. Your skill will catch up faster than you think, and your confidence will follow naturally. Action is the engine. Output is the fuel. The more you put in motion, the faster you grow. Stop overthinking. Start doing. Skill comes alive in the doing, and the moment you accept this, every attempt becomes a step closer to mastery. Chapter 5: Quantity is the path to quality. We've been told that quality matters most. That every move must be perfect, every idea flawless, every project refined before it sees the light of day. But here's a counterintuitive truth: quality emerges from quantity, not the other way around. Your first attempts are supposed to be bad. That's how growth works. Each piece of work you produce is a step in a process, a data point in your learning curve. Perfectionism disguises scarcity as standards. It convinces you to wait, to ration your effort, to protect your ideas from the world. But when you focus on volume, the numbers do the work for you. Out of many attempts, some will shine. Out of consistent effort, mastery emerges. Think of any prolific creator you admire. They didn't wait for inspiration to strike. They showed up, again and again, producing imperfect work that gradually honed into brilliance. Quantity is the engine of improvement. The more you produce, the faster you recognize patterns, refine techniques, and elevate your output. Every attempt compounds the last. Every failure carries the seeds of your next success. The key is to separate creation from judgment. Create freely. Edit later. Learn through doing, not by holding back. Embrace the idea that your first drafts are experiments, not failures. Volume is not just a path to skill, it's a shield against fear. When you produce relentlessly, scarcity and hesitation lose their power. Here's the truth: chasing perfection will slow you. Producing consistently will accelerate you. The more you do, the more ideas, insights, and skill will naturally rise to the surface. Stop trying to make every attempt a masterpiece. Make every attempt a step forward. Remember, quality emerges from quantity, not the other way around. The people who accomplish the most are not the ones who protect their work, they're the ones who release it, over and over again, letting improvement catch up with action. Chapter 6. Time feels abundant until it doesn't. Time is the one resource we all think we have plenty of until suddenly, we don't. When we're young, a day feels endless. Years feel distant. Tomorrow is infinite. But the truth is, time behaves like ideas. The value isn't in how much exists, but in how you use it. Awareness changes everything. When you recognize that time is limited, your decisions sharpen. Every hour gains weight. Every action carries consequence. But here's the catch: waiting until you feel urgent to act is too late. Awareness is a skill you can practice now, not in hindsight. The moment you start treating time as precious, you stop rationing it. You stop hesitating. You start producing consistently, purposefully, boldly. Time, like creativity, grows through use. Every productive hour compounds your skill, your momentum, and your impact. Every wasted hour compounds regret. When you act as if time is abundant, you move freely. You experiment. You fail forward. But when you act as if time is scarce, hesitation dominates, fear rules, and potential slips away. Consider your life as a series of opportunities. Each day is a chance to plant seeds that will grow into skill, ideas, and results. The earlier you recognize the value of time, the faster you'll learn, the bolder you'll act, and the more you'll achieve. Waiting until it feels urgent is a shortcut to regret. Treat time as valuable today, and you unlock the freedom to produce without fear tomorrow. The connection is simple. Time behaves like ideas. How you value it determines how you use it. Awareness turns minutes into momentum. Clarity turns hours into skill. And action turns days into results. Stop assuming you have more than you do. Start acting like every moment counts. That mindset alone multiplies your impact, your creativity, and your life. Chapter 7. The gas line lesson. We all remember moments from childhood that stuck with us not because they were dramatic, but because they taught us something about human behavior. For me, it was standing in a long gas line, the engine idling, the heat rising, the minutes stretching into what felt like hours. Everyone was cautious, everyone hesitant, everyone worried there wouldn't be enough. Scarcity was real. Or at least it felt real. That line taught me something profound. Scarcity doesn't just affect resources, it affects behavior. Fear makes us slow. Anxiety makes us hesitant. We ration effort, ideas, and time because we believe there isn't enough to go round. But here's the insight: when scarcity disappears, hesitation disappears too. When supply feels abundant, humans move faster, act bolder, and create with more freedom. The lesson applies to creativity, work, and life. Ideas, energy, and opportunities behave like the fuel in that gas line. Treat them as scarce, and you'll tiptoe, overthink, and hold back. Treat them as abundant, and you'll experiment, produce, and act with momentum. Abundance eliminates friction, and fear it allows you to move unhindered, to risk, to try, to grow. The subtle but critical truth is this: value isn't just about supply, it's about perception. You may think your resources are limited, but often, the limits exist only in your mind. When you change your perception, you change your actions. Hesitation becomes action. Fear becomes curiosity. Rationing becomes generosity. So the next time you feel constrained by time, ideas, or energy, remember the gas line. Scarcity is contagious. Abundance is liberating. And the people who succeed aren't the ones who wait for resources, they're the ones who act boldly when they realize the supply is there for the taking. Chapter 8. More output means more chances. Success rarely looks like a straight line. From the outside, it seems accidental, effortless, as if the winner was simply lucky. But inside, behind every overnight success, there is a long trail of attempts, failures, and relentless output. The truth is simple: the more you produce, the more opportunities you create. Every attempt is a chance. Every project, every idea, every action increases the probability that something will work. Think of it this way: success is a numbers game. You don't need better ideas, you need more attempts. You don't need perfect timing, you need persistent action. Momentum compounds, but only when you put your work into motion. Each time you release a piece of content, share an idea, or try something new, you're stacking the odds in your favor. One of those attempts will hit. One will open a door. One will teach you a lesson that accelerates everything that comes next. This is why prolific creators rarely run out of ideas. Every act of creation generates more creativity. Every effort creates more opportunities. And every failure carries hidden lessons that make the next attempt stronger. You can't control which attempt will succeed, but you can control how many attempts you make. And the more attempts you make, the more likely it is that success will find you. Here's the mindset shift. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop fearing wasted effort. Every bit of output is an investment in your future. Quantity doesn't just increase chances, it compounds skill, confidence, and momentum. The people who win aren't necessarily smarter, luckier, or more talented, they're simply more prolific. They show up. They create. They release. They fail forward, again and again. Remember this, every time you produce, you multiply your chances. Momentum grows with output. The path to success isn't about conserving energy, ideas, or effort. It's about giving more, producing more, and stacking the odds in your favor. The more you release, the more opportunities appear, and the closer you move to the results you're capable of achieving. Chapter 9. Building an unlimited output system. Motivation comes and goes. Inspiration is unpredictable, but output can be made inevitable. The secret isn't waiting for the perfect moment to feel ready, it's designing a system that guarantees you produce, no matter what. Abundance isn't just a mindset, it's a daily practice, a structure that turns ideas, energy, and effort into unstoppable momentum. The first step is separating creation from judgment. When you produce, don't edit, critique, or question yourself. Let the ideas flow freely. Volume comes first, refinement comes second. You can't polish a diamond if you never mine it. Output without attachment transforms your fear of wasting effort into the joy of experimentation. Next, remove reliance on willpower. Systems beat motivation every time. Set routines, deadlines, and processes that make output automatic. Schedule creation like a meeting you cannot miss. Batch your work, automate what you can, and commit to habits that remove hesitation from the equation. When output is systematized, it no longer depends on your mood, your confidence, or the perfect spark of inspiration. Finally, embrace iteration. Perfection is the enemy of production. Every attempt doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to exist. Releasing ideas, projects, and efforts consistently allows feedback, learning, and refinement to do the heavy lifting. Momentum compounds, skill grows, and your results accelerate. An unlimited output system is simple, but it is not passive. It requires structure, discipline, and a willingness to let go of fear. But once it's in place, creating becomes inevitable. You don't wait for inspiration, you generate it through action. You don't ration ideas, you multiply them through use. And every day, the habit of output builds a foundation for extraordinary growth. Here's the key takeaway. Abundance isn't just about thinking bigger, it's about producing more. Build the system, trust the process, and make output inevitable. The more you release, the more ideas, momentum, and opportunities flow back to you. Chapter 10. Becoming an abundant producer. The final step in this journey isn't about tools, systems, or even ideas, it's about identity. Who you believe yourself to be determines how you act. Scarcity creates hesitation. Comparison creates doubt. Fear creates inaction. But abundance, true, practiced abundance, creates producers. People who release more than they hold, act before they feel ready, and grow faster than they ever imagined. Becoming an abundant producer starts with a shift in mindset. You stop protecting your ideas. You stop rationing your effort. You stop waiting for perfection. Instead, you embrace the truth. The world rewards action, momentum, and generosity. Every idea you share, every project you complete, every attempt you make compounds your skill, confidence, and results. This is not just philosophy, it's practice. Abundant producers separate creation from judgment, produce consistently regardless of mood, and focus on long-term growth instead of immediate recognition. They understand that failure is part of the process, not a reflection of worth. They know that momentum, once started, carries them further than hesitation ever could. The identity shift is simple, but profound. You are not a person who waits. You are not a person who doubts. You are a person who produces. You are a creator in motion. Every action reinforces this identity, and every release builds confidence, skill, and impact. The people who win aren't the ones who protect their ideas. They're the ones who release them. They're the ones who show up again and again, fail forward, and trust that abundance multiplies with use. You can be one of them. Start today. Create without fear. Share without hesitation. Produce without limit. The world doesn't reward hoarders, it rewards abundance in action. Your next step is clear: release more. Hold less. And watch your life transform. Conclusion: release more, hold less. If you followed this journey, one idea should be clear: the people who achieve the most aren't the ones who protect their ideas, ration their effort, or wait for the perfect moment. They're the ones who act. They're the ones who release. They're the ones who understand that abundance grows through use, not conservation. Every chapter in this book has pointed to the same truth: output multiplies skill. Quantity produces quality. Ideas expand when shared. Time is most valuable when acted upon. Hesitation is the thief of momentum, and fear is the enemy of progress. The consistent thread is action, the relentless, deliberate act of creating, experimenting, and producing without reservation. Now it's your turn. Look at the work you've been holding back, the ideas you've been saving for later, the projects you've been rationing. Release them. Put them into motion. Every attempt, every experiment, every imperfect effort moves you closer to mastery, momentum, and results. The world rewards those who act, not those who wait. This isn't a philosophy. It's a practice. Start small, but start now. Build habits that make output inevitable. Create without judgment. Share without fear. Fail forward, again and again. Momentum compounds, skill accelerates, and opportunities multiply. Abundance is not something you find, it's something you build through consistent action. Remember this: the people who win aren't the ones who hold tightly. They're the ones who release generously, act boldly, and produce without limits. Take this lesson with you. Release more. Hold less. Produce abundantly. And watch your results, your skill, and your life expand beyond what you ever imagined. Your next step is simple: create, release, repeat.